So this is lesson number 58, and it is percent word problems. And one of the things that I really want you to hear me on, and that is when you're doing these problems, do not follow the instructions when it says to diagram. If you look into the practice problems for lesson 58, it says draw a diagram. Don't. When you're doing the test and it says draw a diagram, don't. You don't have to draw a diagram. In fact, I think when you draw a diagram, it makes it more difficult. All right, so 58-1. Kathy, John, and Susie only have 20 chickens left. I don't care about Kathy, John, and Susie. All I care about is the chickens. They have 20 chickens left. If they began with 8 chickens, what percent of the original flock remains? All right, so we are looking for the percent of the original flock. Okay, how many is in the original flock? They began with 80. So what percent of, remember, of means equal, of the original flock equals 20. What percent of the original flock equals 20? So 80 times x equals 20. We're going to put x in there instead of our question mark. Divide by 80. Divide by 80. Those go away. X equals 20 over 80, which is 1 over 4. That doesn't give me a percent, so I make it into a decimal. And then I change a percent or a decimal to a percent, and I get 25. All right, so you do that pretty easily without having to draw a diagram. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the next example. Mimi and Jim have 75 thingamabobs. I don't care what a thingamabob is. Can't even say it hardly. I don't care who Mimi and Jim are. I just know that I have 75. They want to give Hal 20% of them. How many do they give to Hal? So 20%, remember, of means times of the total. Whenever you take the percent of something, you're always taking it of the total. So we have 20% of the total, that's how many they had, equals how many they gave to Al. So let's just put it times x. You cannot solve an equation with a percent, so you have to change the percent to a decimal. So 0.2 times 75 is going to give you 15. So you had 75 and you gave Hal 15, which means you have 60 left. All right, let's look at the last example here. Last example says Bo and Christy hide 600 raisins. Well, that's kind of disgusting. All right, so they hide 600 raisins. It's 60% more than they hid last month. How many raisins did they hide last month? Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's look at the 600. 600 is how many they hid now. Last month they hid a certain number, but the 600 is 60% more than they hid last month. So 600 is a bigger number than the total that they hid last month. So what we're going to do is we're going to write this as 600 is 60% more than, let's say, the total, the amount they hid last month. Okay? So 600 means equals. 60% is 0.60 more than the total. All right, so if it's more than the total, then last month the amount that they hid was 100%. They hid 100%. This month they hid 60% more than that 100%. So it's actually 160% is how many they hid this month. The amount that they hid last month, which is 100%, plus another 60%. So we're going to change 160% to 1.6 because that's changing it to a decimal. And we're going to divide by 1.6, and that'll give us how many we hid last month. 600 is 160 or 60% more than what we hid last month. So this is going to give me 375 that I hid last month. Okay, and those are tricky. There's really no simple way to explain that, and you're just going to have to kind of practice those. But when it gives you problems that says more, like that particular one, you're going to have to use 100% plus the decimal. If you look in the practice problems for lesson 58C, gives you one of those. It says their total is increased by 150%. So they already told you it's 150%, so you don't have to worry about, do I add 100% to this? They already tell you. So that's it for lesson number 58.